Greetings, pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage, and today we are continuing with our miniature Battle Royale series here. We're doing just the Battle Pass right now from Fortnite. We're almost done. Maybe one more episode to talk about the preview area. We'll touch on that at the end, but the majority of it, it's working. So I want to show you guys. Let's just jump right into it here. So I have selected the Battle Pass, the main object here, as you can see in our hierarchy, and this is the main script. Doesn't look like a whole bunch right here, but these are the things that you will need to assign, okay? Now I'm going to provide you, nothing has changed as far as the images from last time and all that. So if you've got all that set up in your project, that's great. You just have to update these scripts. So I'm going to show you, you're going to have to reapply this script and we're going to fill in these things. So let's go over that real fast. You'll apply this script, then you'll need to set up these things for it. So the BP canvas is your canvas object. It's this one right here. This is Battle Pass canvas. Just click and drag and drop that right here. Excuse me. Your display panel. Display panel is down here underneath of our reward mask area. Display panel. Just click and drag that here. Okay. The reward template. Reward template is going to be from our prefabs. So you're going to go into your Battle Pass prefabs area. And we have to reselect this so that this shows up. You can lock this by clicking this button up here, the little lock. And now no matter what I click down here, this will stay focused on this. Pretty cool, right? So anyway, our reward template is going to be just right here. This middle one, reward. Just drag and drop that there. And we have a tier prefab now. So the tier prefab is going to be this guy here, this tier. Just drag and drop him there. Nice and easy. Now, we have 4 buttons. Yes, I know, it's not an exact copy, but that's the purpose. We're not going to do exact copies around here. So we have 4 buttons because with the Fortnite Battle Pass, there are the individual tiers. You click these buttons to go left and right. I believe it just automatically scrolls the pages when you go back and forth. For us, we're doing things a little different around here. You click the button and it's going to slide 1 tier to the left or right, depending on which button you press. Then we have these double arrow buttons beneath, and that will slide an entire page at a time, okay? So that's what we're going to do for that. So we have these 4 buttons. They are here, slide left, slide right, jump left, and jump right. So those you do need to assign here. So you just, again, click and drag from here to get it all hooked up. And then that's it. You're all set other than putting in your tiers. So as we discussed last time, underneath your tiers, you'll be creating these tiers. You just right-click, say Create, Battle Royale, new reward tier. You create that. Let me uncheck this so that you actually see this. So when I select this, you just have to tell it what is the standard reward going to be. Usually it's 1 thing, or it could be nothing. And then the upper battle reward, we usually always get something here, and you can get a second thing here. So based upon the different layouts you want to choose for these, you can make all your different types of tiers. So again, I gave you guys some time to have some homework time to create your tiers, to create your rewards, get everything going, all that good stuff. So now we go back to our Battle Pass and see this here that says Reward Tiers. So again, this is on the Battle Pass head object, under the script, Reward Tiers. You see it's got a little arrow. I click that and I open it up. Right now I have selected 100 tiers. So just like you would for a typical Fortnite game complete. So let's open it fully up. So I'm going to hold Alt and click, and it's going to completely expand everything. And you'll see here, underneath each one, all I've done is just drag and drop one of those tiers into this spot. Now you can do this in 2 ways. One, you can actually just type a number into here as to how many you want, or if it's zeroed out and you drag onto, I believe, the word reward tiers, it'll populate in the list. So experiment with that a little bit, but either way works. So plan them all out, and again, tier 1 is going to be element 0 because it is a 0-based indexed array. So that's a programming thing, but you'll be fine. So put all your rewards in here. Now, a lot of mine are copies of the same thing just because I wanted to prove that you could go all the way up to 100. Now, in theory, there's no theoretical limit to this, but your mileage may vary. I've tested 100 and below. If you go above 100, I'm not responsible for anything crazy that happens. All right, enough talking. Let's take a look. So I hit play. And everything is all set up now, and here we go. So, a couple of mysterious, magical things have happened here. It has calculated all 100 tiers, and they actually go way off the page. And what we're doing here is we set it up so that you cannot go backwards beyond the end. So if I click these buttons, nothing's going to happen right here. If I click this button, I'm going to go forward 1 tier. So 2 will now be here, and then 9 will be here. There you go. We've slid along, and now we get to see the next. Like I said, after 4, I think they're all the same, but you can see the numbers changing as I click. We're moving forward, and then I can click full pages, and you can see we're jumping ahead. And this is set up so that I can't go past the end, no matter what I do. And even if I go back one and then say skip forward a page, it's just going to slide to 9 to 100 because it knows, oh, there's nothing beyond that. We're not going to go beyond that. So you can click these buttons to go full pages back at a time, which is really handy. See, I can skip the entire page of these first couple there. Really easy. Or if I click one at a time, you can see they slowly slide off to the left. And there you go. So it's fully functioning. So let's take a look under the hood really quick. So I hit pause and open this up. We're going to take a look at our scene over here. And we go to our display panel. This is what's doing all the magic. If you look under here, this has every single tier. All of them. All lined up and everything. And if I scroll out, you can see here they all are. Just listed way out there. So there they all are, and they're just being hidden. And the way it's working is the panel is just a UI object. This panel, it's only the size of the page here. Because originally, remember I was talking about we had multiple pages, and I was going to try to say, oh, fill this page, slide it in, this page slides out, we do all this nonsense. Well, a good buddy of mine, Eddie, which we were supposed to have him be with us today for the recording, but he wasn't available. Our schedules are different, but I'm gonna have him on the pilgrimage soon, and you guys will be able to hear from him. He helped me out with the code, which we're gonna go over. So big thanks to him, and you guys will see the brilliance of what he taught me. So instead of doing all these pages here, what we decided to do was just have all of the tiers technically there, but not visible at first. So if we go to display panel, we go up one, this reward mask area. So this is using the mask component, and you can see that if I show the mask graphic, it's going to show you the area that it's hiding there. And now it's got all broken because I'm doing it in play mode. But this big white area is what's in here, and so anything outside of that gets hidden, so we don't actually see them at playtime. So that's perfectly fine. So now hit play again. We should be back to normal. Play didn't break anything. Yeah, there you go. So there you go. So this mask is masking only what's in this area. So that's how we're able to slide all these objects in and out. Okay, cool. So last little thing before we talk about the code. This big area here, as you can see, this is an up-and-coming thing. So down here at the bottom, you see reward preview area, and that's this here. So I think the final episode, to cap all these things off, we're going to talk about adding some code to be able to click on these objects and show a reward preview here. So for some things, it'll just be an image. For other things, we have to do like a little animated something. So I'm going to talk about a couple ways to do that. The easiest way is to have it off screen. You render it with a camera and render it as a rendered texture and display it here, similar to the way that like mini maps work. But we can talk about that in the next episode. Okay, so for today, we got everything working. Let's take a quick little look at the code so that you guys understand kind of how it's working, okay? So all the major changes occurred here in the BattlePass manager script, okay? So top to bottom, I'm just going to go over it pretty briefly. Again, you don't have to know how this works. You just assign the script and it works. But if you want to expand it, or if you just, like me, you're curious and you want to learn some more, let's talk about it briefly. So up top here, this is our struct for the reward tier. So this is an array, you can see right there. So this is the thing that we type that 100 into and then drag and drop all of our rewards into. And then here's all the things we talked about that we have to assign. Okay, these are open handles, so you can just drag and drop them in there, and then that's how it connects the code, which is very handy. And then this display panel origin is a value that we're using later down. Okay, so essentially it's in 3 major steps, okay? At the start, we're going to call a couple of functions, but essentially it's fill content, which is this. It's going to do setting up the buttons, and then it's going to do the moving of the panel, okay? So filling the content, that's the biggest one, so let's talk about that first. Filling the content is adding all the tiers and, spawning all these things and positioning them all and all that nonsense, right? So what we have to do is we're going to loop through all of them, and then we're going to say, hey, let's create your position, and your position has to be based upon the display panel because we want to put it in its spot in the row, right? So we say get that position X, and then add to that the width of our offset times I, which is times the number that we're on. So the first one is 0 in the index technically, right? So we're just going to put it at 123. Then we're going to say the next one is 123 times 1, because now we're off by 1 because we're on the second item, okay? So it'll just keep looping here. It'll, fills in that variable every time it loops, which is awesome. The y we don't want to change because we don't want them to move up and down, just left and right. Then we'll make this thing. We're going to instantiate a new object, which is a whole prefab of the entire tier now. Instead of doing pages at a time, we're doing just one at a time, which sounds like it's more work, but actually in this loop, it's actually a lot easier. So we're going to set its position. I'm going to say, hey, set your rotation and your transform equal to your parent, which is the display panel. You're going to now go inside the display panel so you can get slid back and forth. Pretty cool, right? Then the last thing here, this line, is setting up the number at the top. So as I mentioned, when you go forward right now, you won't really see a difference with my setup because I have the same for like 80 tiers. But the numbers change, which tells me that I'm on the correct tier. So this is just saying, hey, get the first child, 0 indexed child of this object, get its text object, or text component, pardon me, get its text, value of the text component, and then set its set that value equal to the name of the thing that we're on, so the index that we're on, so 0, 1, 2, whatever, plus 1, because with 0 indexed, and then turn that into a string. So turn that into a text, basically, because we have a number here, we're going to turn it into text, and then put it into this object. So then 0, will be, when we're on the first item, 0 plus 1 is 1, right? But that's a number. Turn that into words, now fill it into the text value. There you go, and it's just going to keep going. So next, now that we have the tiers set up, we need to actually spawn the rewards and put them into the right places. So here we're going to say reward template manager, RTM, so that's that script that's on the templates. We're going to say, hey, let's go ahead and set this up with a new tier, which is the thing we just made up here, and we're going to give it an offset. So these offsets are based upon different positions that are possible, and then each of these categories here is based upon the different categories. So for example, up here, this is the standard reward. So the offset for the standard reward is always 52. Okay? Then you come down here and you say, okay, for the upper BattlePass reward, the does not equal null means as long as it's not missing. If it's missing, if something is wrong, it'll fail right here. So that'll tell you right away. Don't even bother to do this because the thing doesn't exist. You can't put gas in your car if you don't have a car, like that kind of thing. So anyway, down here we're going to do the same kind of thing again. We're going to set up our position, and the same kind of thing we're going to say plus 13 is the magic offset between the two. And then these positions are just trial and error from the exact math between getting them to match up for a page of 8, and then getting them to match up with the 8 pixels in between them and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about the actual numbers. If you change yours, you might have to tweak these numbers, but for this example, these are the numbers that work. So then, same thing, we're going to spawn another one and say, hey, the thing that we just made up here, we're going to say, hey, put it at this position, and go ahead and call the fill template and fill it up. Nice and easy. So all these things just call each other. And then down here, this is our function we keep using here, this reward template set it up. So what does the setup do? So we're passing it a parent, an object that we want it to use. And the object we want to use is the one that we keep spawning, okay? And then we give it an offset. So these offsets are, I think it says Y offset, but yeah, the Y offset is because it needs to come from above. The way that the pivots work, it's from a top left down. So here we say position is equal to parent transform plus 13, Y minus Y offset to bring it down from the top to make sure it all lines up nicely. And then our Z is 0 because we're not dealing with depth with a two-dimensional thing. And then our prefab, we spawn out another prefab of the reward this time. And then what we return is the actual handle to the template manager, which is why we say, hey, this manager is equal to this function. So this function is going to call it and return that, and it's going to say, okay, cool. So the thing that you actually made just now, the actual version of that, I want to get a handle of that because then I'm going to go and tell it to do stuff. Nice and simple. I know it sounds complicated, but when you follow it through, it's actually pretty easy. And the last parts up here, which are super easy. So to set up our buttons, we're going to set up a panel. So here, the display panel doesn't have a flat 0 for some reason. So we're going to set a variable to set its position. So there you go. Then we're going to say, hey, each button needs a listener. So this is Unity's way of saying, I'm going to keep an eye out for if you click this button that I know I need to do something with it. So we're just going to say, hey, this button .onClick, add listener, and it's called a delegate. Move the panel this much. That's it. So we're going to say slide left, we're going to move it 123. Slide right, we're going to move it minus 123 because we're going the other direction. Jump left, we're going to move this amount, and then jump right, we're going to move negative that amount. Nice and easy. So right away, you see here when we start the whole thing, it's going to call fill content first, fill everything up, and then right away it's going to say, hey, and by the way, set up the button. Okay, so that's going to do all of this. And finally, when we move the panel, which is this right here, we're calling that function right here. Every time the listener gets a ping saying, hey, somebody clicked me, what do I do? We're going to go here and we say, okay, no worries. So we're going to get the size of everything. So this is just some positional data right here, right? And then we say if the X value is less than the display panel right size, then this is what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to say display panel.transform position is equal to the right direction you wanted me to go to. Or else if the X is greater than, then I'm going to say, hey, the farthest I can go is the origin, that's 0. We don't want to go past into like negative tiers. There's no such thing, right? So that's what this is saying. This is saying if the value is above that, you're good. You can go 0 to infinity, but you cannot go below 0. So if you try to go below 0, if that value is, in this case, greater than, I know it's confusing, then set it to 0. That's the cap. Then we say, or just set it to the way it's sitting there. So this is kind of a fall through in case you have, some weird situations back and forth, or if it's just sitting there, we don't want to move it too much. So there we go. And that's it. I know it sounds like a lot, and especially this part's pretty crazy, but if you follow through, it's actually pretty simple. It just looks like a lot. Coding is always confusing and scary to some people because it's a lot of weird numbers and symbols and things, but it's just a language like any other. So you just have to learn what it's saying. And if you break it down, it's like, oh, okay, if this thing is not equal to null, null meaning it doesn't exist. So if it does not exist, that means it exists, right? So if, and this is always, if this is true, do this stuff. So I'm saying if it's true that this thing does not exist, so if it exists, do these things. So it's just a matter of learning the words, learning what they mean, and then how it's all set up. And this is all an accumulation of decades of knowledge just building on itself, okay? So don't worry about it if you look at this and go, I have no idea what I'm doing. Take your time, do small examples first, and work your way up. And you can do this. It's very possible. I hate when people tell me, oh, I can't do it. And go, that's nonsense. I don't believe in that at all. It's just a matter of building up one piece at a time. All right, enough preaching. Let's get back to the cool stuff here. So as I mentioned, next time we're probably going to finish this up and move on to the next project. I think I've got one more video I might do for you guys on Battle Royale, and then we're going to move on to, we have 2 or 3 big projects coming up, and I've got one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So you guys are going to be very excited. Lots of cool things to do. But the next time we are going to try to finish this up with our reward preview area right here. So again, we'll talk about how to spawn like a model and that kind of stuff. And that will be if you click on the rewards. So when it comes up, there'll be nothing here right now. And as you're scrolling through, you're like, I want to see what this is. You click on this, and then it will show you what that thing is or would be. I don't think I'm going to go through right now how to do the double wide for the tier 1 or how to do the lock unlock. That's pretty simple. I might mention or touch on how to do a fake inventory or fake currency counters that you can actually use that to do these things, but we've got a lot coming up and I don't want to get hung up on the small details. So I'll leave some things for you guys to figure out, or join the Discord. I'm always around to answer questions, and the whole community is there. So if you guys want to expand on these things, please do so. Don't take it just that it's this, and if it's not more than this, then you'll never have more than this. Take it and grow and learn and expand it, please. And if you guys have good chunks of code and things you want to provide to the community, I'll provide a way on the Discord that we can do that. We can actually share what somebody has taken and expanded on. That would be amazing. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. I'm sorry about the delay between things, but I'm trying to get back to a more regular schedule. And I just got the equipment came in, so we're going to get back into live streaming as well. So we're going to be live streaming. One of those projects I talked about will be a live stream project. So come join me for that. And I'll be making announcements about upcoming pilgrimage stuff during the live stream, so you get that behind the scenes info. And we may have a Patreon coming soon. So I'll let you guys know as I get the final data for that. But as always, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really totally appreciate all of your time and attention. And until next time, keep practicing, get better, and I'll see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.